We're here to talk about energy prices. Unlike the government pushing Marinus, my focus with energy policy is reducing power prices for your mum and dad householders. And to that end, I think we pay the highest power prices in the nation. We're the poorest state in the nation, and we are living in energy poverty. Now, to find solutions for your mum and dad householders, Marinus isn't going to do that. All that's doing is putting money into the corporates. This battery we have here, community battery, the idea behind that is rooftop solar in the low-income houses here to gather the energy during the day, store it into the battery and then use it overnight or when it's needed. That is a common sense way, and that will give cheaper power prices to the lower income people. There's $500 million allocated through the federal government to put solar on rooftop housing and to put these batteries in and around the community and take advantage of that. Taking a common sense approach, using the technology that we're embracing at the moment, these community batteries are a great idea, and also at the same time we need to increase the energy efficiency of households. We need to give them cheaper loans, cheaper interest loans over a longer time frame, not the 3-year time frame, 7 years, to be able to get the double glazed windows, the curtains, what have you, to make those households more efficient. And that's where we need to be going. These community batteries are a great idea, and they should be embraced. Marinus, the money used for that should be put into this rooftop solar and helping the energy crisis that a lot of people are in, the cost of living and what have you. That's just common sense.
So would you like to ditch Marinus entirely?
Yes, my word. Yep. It's not in the best interest of Tasmanians. Network charges will go up 40% for mum and dad householders under Marinus. For the big industrials, one of them's been told straight up 29.6% under Marinus Stage 1. So we're not going to see cheaper power in all this. We're going to see power prices go northward, and that's not what Tasmanians can afford. Like I said before, we are the poorest state in the nation, and we're in an energy poverty situation. So it's about focusing on us, the bottom end of town, which seems to be left out in just about everything these days.
You'd like the state government to then put the money from Marinus into putting solar on people's houses, particularly in low-income areas, or just for anyone who wants it?
Well, you can only be treated how you can only be looked upon at how you treat the most disadvantaged. So you start with the most disadvantaged first, those that are suffering, that don't have the income. Use that federal assistance and start there, and then embrace it everywhere. It's common sense. And if the grid goes down, community batteries, nothing changes. It's a common sense way to deal with the situation we're facing right now. Marinus, the price rise in that, and then if you factor in all the impacts, compulsory acquisition of farmland, forest reserves being knocked down, critical habitat being destroyed, Aboriginal cultural values being trashed, we don't have to have that. We need to focus on what's best for us and the mum and dad householders, not on the corporates. And that's where both major parties are going right now. They're pushing Marinus as if it's the saviour to the be-all and end-all, and they know that it's not. And that's why you probably noticed it didn't get mentioned much in the federal election. And it's been real quiet so far, because they know, like I do, that costs, prices are going to go through the roof under Marinus. So Tasmania first, and the people of this state first, which is a bit of a novelty for those major parties. And the whole of state business case, we've been waiting for weeks for that to be released. We asked them to release it. I'm demanding that it be released before this election. People need to know what it's all about. They need to know the nuts and bolts and the costs involved before they go to this election. Because if they go to this election and vote for those major parties, what they're voting for is their power prices going through the roof, the industrial power prices going through the roof, which means jobs being laid off. And don't mention the impacts. Like, the impacts are over there. Everyone right now cares about money because we are in a cost of living crisis, but the impacts on Tasmania, our critical habitat, and everything that makes this place special, so we can send power to the mainland, get dearer prices as a result, all the benefits flow to them over there. And I believe right now batteries are advancing. It is the way of the future. It's not having everyone reliant on one area. It's sharing the load, so if there is an outage somewhere like we had recently with Tas Networks, all and sundry aren't thrown under a bus. You can deal with it, and everybody's isolated from the area where the power goes out. It's just common sense, you know.
Do you know how many of these batteries we need to make a sizable dent across the state?
Well, I know this one here, this is Tas Networks, it's been here for 3 months and they still haven't got it working They haven't got it working properly. So it makes you wonder how the hell they're going to deliver with Marinus, which is a massive project. They can't even get this right. 3 months this has been sitting there and they've been working on it continuously, you know.
Why are you advocating for something if they can't get it to work properly?
Well, the idea is great. It is great. But like anything, you're going to have your teething problems, but I for the life of me, can't understand how they can't get this up and running. I'd like to know the reasons why there's been a 3-month stalling on this. I'd also like to know why there's only 4 rooftops here with solar when this battery can accommodate a whole lot more, and there's funding there to be used for that. You know, there's a lot of questions need to be asked.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that then? How much funding there is and how many houses this could support?
There's 500 million by the federals to put solar. The funding for the community batteries, I'm unsure how much is put aside for that, but if it's going to make us energy efficient and keep the cost of power down for your mum and dad householders and not have us locked into Marinus, which is going to be terrible.
Does it make any sense to have this if we don't have solar panels on rooftops nearby?
Well, you need both, you know, which begs the question, why put a community battery here if you're only going to put 4 houses with solar on it when I believe it can accommodate about 70, 71 in this area. So, you know, it's like they're focusing on the big end of town, the big picture, and forgetting about the small. It's the small things that matter, and small matters like this need to be put everywhere. And you're going to have teething problems with anything, but get it right, and everyone will benefit out of this. Mum and dad householders, our environment. Marinus is just such a bad deal.
But you would like to see these batteries all over the state for all?
My word, you could put them everywhere. I believe in Victoria, the dairy farmers there have got a battery set up, so if the power goes out, because you can imagine how much they lose, power goes and they can't milk their cows, and then, you know, it creates a whole problem. So they've thought about that over there. We need to do the same thing. We need to be smart, and we need to use the advancement in technology with batteries. I believe they're progressing more and more all the time. Marinus, if we lock ourselves into that, I can see it'll make the Spirit fiasco look like a picnic. We're talking massive costs. We were going to have 2 cables for 2.5 billion 3 years ago. Now it's 1 for 5 billion. And my experience in Parliament, I've only been there 14 months, but you give the course of a year, you watch the prices go up. It's just going to blow out and blow out and blow out. It's you know, and this is where the future is. It's isolating to the area is concerned, producing their own power, storing it in battery, and they're self-sufficient, energy efficient.
Have you engaged with the private sector or with Tas Networks or anyone involved to see what the feasibility of rolling these out statewide would be?
We did ask them to focus on this side of things, you know, and forget about Marinus for a while. It's you get seduced sometimes with big ideas and big projects, and you forget about the little things that make all the difference. And it's the little things that make the difference in this place with energy. You know, you factor in, we've got the dearest power in the nation, we've got the poorest state, and we've got people living in energy poverty. So Marinus isn't going to solve any of their problems. It's going to make it worse. So, you know, it needs to be advanced, and this is where we need to flicker our attention to and use that money put aside for Marinus, put it for our benefit, not for corporate benefits.